Oh, okay. I think we all know at the same time. All right. There's just like a minute or so delay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it says it's streaming, but
All right, here we go. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Faika Podcast Midweek Show. I'm your host, Carl, with me, your lovely host, Naki. Good evening, Naki.
Hey, good evening.
Are you awake?
I'm awake. I'm awake.
Our guest today is Leonora Willis. Leonora was born in LBJ Hospital in Fanga'alu within the Maupatasi County in American Samoa. Her first home is the village of Leone on Tutuila, one of the beautiful Samoan islands in the Pacific, but she is coming to us from Oakland, California. Welcome, Leonora.
thank you.
I see a whole bunch of things that we've got to get through in about an hour. And you are a Renaissance woman, so we're going to go ahead and get started. And just kind of, so how did you end up in Oakland?
So I was living in Los Angeles prior to this, but I feel as though I'm a Bay Area native. So I'm really kind of coming back. I was really coming back to Oakland in 2008, but I had lived 5 years in LA, which is where my daughter was born. And prior to that was living in San Francisco, went to UC Santa Cruz, so I was in Santa Cruz. My mother had a home in Livermore. I lived in Livermore, Pleasanton, Dublin. So I'm of the East Bay.
LA, or
Yeah, close to Glendale, like Los Feliz area, North LA.
and what
Awesome.
took you to out of the Bay Area to LA?
My daughter's father went to USC, and that's where he received his MFA in poetry. So we moved the family. We moved ourselves and made a family with our daughter being born actually in Glendale.
Ah,
Hmm.
so you're there for a few years. A lot of businesses and a lot of entrepreneurial spirit in your journey.
Hmm.
Um, I guess a good question is like, how do you maintain different zip codes as you move? You're still carrying that entrepreneurial spirit with you. How do you keep that alive when you're moving from city to city?
Yeah, I actually feel as though the entrepreneurial side of me is more newly developed. I've been a doula and running my doula business for just a couple of years. In addition to that, that's the same time when I purchased the yoga studio or bought into the yoga studio, Barefoot Movement. So I'm newer to entrepreneurial life and building a business and owning a business and running a business, and all of the intricacies that requires. And prior to that, I was in academia. I was an adjunct for 13 years, working and teaching in the community colleges, mostly at CCSF in San Francisco, San Francisco State University. USF, I also taught for, I think, just a semester. So being a business owner is new to me. Like the Renaissance woman that you say I am, this is also kind of a new birth to me as well, being a business owner.
It's do you find when did you find yoga? I mean, we've read your bio, but when did like you found yoga and felt that it was your passion?
Yeah. I took my first yoga class when I was 18 years old in Pleasanton, in a gymnasium with a couple of my girlfriends who said, "You'll love it, let's go." And and it was an amazing experience and also like confusing, and I didn't quite understand how things worked with this yoga thing, but I went and I loved it, but I never returned back to it until I was pregnant with my daughter. And this was in Los Angeles, and I took a few prenatal classes, and also there I didn't quite like it didn't resonate with me. I had a different body at that time, and I was, trying to be in that body as a pregnant person, and it definitely helped. But that wasn't where like yoga took hold of me either. It wasn't until I took a class, moved to Oakland, moved back to the Bay Area, and took a class with Leah Gillman at the YMCA in Oakland, right on Broadway. And that's when things, clicked.
Click.
That's when,
Yeah.
yeah. And I've been headed in this direction since then, since I took that first class. And it was a beginner class, and like a few classes into it, she's like, you have a smart body. You can go ahead and come to my intermediate class, an hour after this one. I said, all right, okay. And it continued from there. I was taking classes with her regularly, and she started a teacher training program, and she said, and this was when she owned Barefoot Movement, and she said, I've just started this business. I'm doing teacher trainings, and you seem like a really good candidate. Are you interested? And I couldn't do it the first year, and it felt as though my heart was breaking because I couldn't be in that first year group, because I felt like I really belonged there. I really needed to be there. After a year, I enrolled in the second year, and yeah, then I did my teacher training. It was a 9-month process, an amazing one, and I really I came into Barefoot Movement that way, and then I've been there. I've just been there. Yeah.
For people that haven't ever heard of yoga or have never taken a class, can you explain what yoga is?
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, there are a lot of preconceptions about what yoga is, and that's because here in the West and here in the U.S., we have a kind of fascination with the body and staying fit and being strong and being flexible, and and you see that on social media with poses and such. But this is really a small percentage of like what the whole of yoga is. And I think a lot of people sort of get wary of it because it seems religious like, or maybe even to the degree of cult like. But from my understanding and from my practice, and it's a self-discovery. It's a discovery of who you are, and that happens with your body, and that happens through meditation, and it happens with movement, and it happens with breath, and it happens with stillness. And yoga is this thing that can encapsulate and encompass all of that. And it's a never-ending. You'll never know all about yourself because you're consistently changing and growing, and yoga gives you a chance to tap into that. It gives you a chance to come home to yourself. It gives you, it gives me all of those things, and growing through it. So, not just the physical practice and the movements, but the philosophy and the history is never ending as well, because this is an ancient practice. This is a practice that comes from India. These are postures and breath practices and ways of being, knowing, understanding, and living that come from the ancients and gurus. And we're just trying to, figure it out and stay true to it now as much as possible. I know I am, and learn as much as I possibly can about what it means and what it is. And that's the ongoing process of what yoga is for me.
That's awesome.
Do you so you're in the yoga community? Does the Bikram yoga, I don't know, scandal is kind of the word, but is that even a blip on the radar in the overall yoga world, or is that big?
Yeah, no. The sexual abuse throughout the yoga community, it has been a tragedy. It's been tragic that it's put such a mar on a practice that should not have anything to do with that. So, it's very unfortunate, and Bikram is not the only one who's been, accused of such atrocities. Across the community, there's just been too many cases. Yeah, and I think that so much power in one person's self is obviously too much. Um, and and these are the things that ensue because of it: power and greed and money and just a distasteful, way of being and living, frankly. Um,
Uh, my personal experience with yoga is extremely limited. I did that P90X program in 2011, and it has a yoga session in it. So each week for 12 weeks, and it's 90 minutes long. Of the 12 times that I did yoga for 90 minutes, like 2 or 3 times, I was able to actually get my mind into the yoga and the breathing and everything. And the 90 minutes went like it flew by. The other times it was the hardest workout because I couldn't get out of my own head the whole way. So I was like just struggling and looking at the minutes counting down and going, I still have an hour left. Oh my gosh. But the times that I was able to actually, I think, experience some of what yoga is supposed to be, it was sweat drenched, great workout. I mean, I was spent by the end of it, but it was just hard for me to get out of my own head. And then my only other experience is a podcast series about Bikram yoga. So that's it. And I was really fascinated in that specific series about how the people believed in yoga. And well, it didn't have nothing to do, that wasn't the part with Bikram. It was the part of the yoga lifestyle where there were people that were like, I'm just glad he exposed me to yoga. I didn't have any bad experiences with him, but he exposed me to yoga. So they still, there's still benefit with that. But so is that a piece in the yoga world? Is it different being a female instructor versus being a male?
yeah, I mean, we've trained numerous male instructors, and it's definitely a struggle because there is this kind of vulnerability in the yoga practice. It isn't like high impact. You're not necessarily. It can be that, but it isn't that kind of moment all the time. Um, and and being a teacher, right? Period.
Right.
Is a challenging role. It has a lot of responsibility. You have a lot of responsibility as a teacher to guide these people safely through, so that they get the workout, so that they breathe more freely. Their organs are functioning well, but the added component of gender and the close proximity from student to teacher and the level of depth that this practice really kind of moves you towards means that every teacher, has to be on their game. They have to be of righteous mind and being. And male teachers all the more so because of how like the yoga world is riddled with this situation that we're facing. With abuse and yeah, you just have to be a trustworthy person, right? Like male or female, definitely males have to present themselves that way and be those people too. But you don't go, you like to, well, maybe I'm romanticizing it, but you don't go into yoga if you really want to be a yoga teacher and guide people. You don't go into this with your ego and your need to get whatever that is. You're doing it for everyone else. This is their practice. You're guiding them through it. So every teacher has to be.
Yeah. I haven't taken it, but I'm interested now, since reading about you and hearing about you. And one of the things that I hear about yoga is that some of my friends do yoga or have tried it. Their one thing is that it's so hot in the room. Is there a reason why, or is it just them, or because I've never tried it, so I can't really speak on it. But I hear everyone talk about the room temperature. Is there a reason why that the room is hot, or is?
Yeah, there are different styles. There are definitely different styles of yoga. I've tried one heated yoga class,
Uh,
no, 2 times, twice, just to make sure. And it wasn't for me. There are people who love going to hot yoga classes, heated yoga classes. Like that's the thing that opens their joints up. That's the thing that they get their sweat on. The practice feels more vigorous for them. That's what it takes for them to break through to being able to focus, to being able to be centered. But that is only one style. Like that's another thing. The breadth and
Okay.
of yoga practice is like uh, it just keeps going. Hot yoga is only one. Bikram yoga is a big name, right?
Mhm.
Um, and and that is really just like one kind of practice. So I don't teach hot yoga. I don't teach in a heated room
Oh,
at the
nice.
studio. Yeah, it's yeah. There's so many
Okay,
kinds.
I thought there was just one type, but there's different types of yoga that is
Yeah.
okay, awesome. Okay, now I will, because I get hot so fast and I'm like, menopausal. And so like, I'm like, no, no, I'm not going to try it. But that I'm interested now that we've been talking about it and that I've heard about you. And so I'm seriously thinking of trying it. So that's awesome. And you've also, do you do doula or does it go hand in hand or how did you get interested in that?
Yeah. So when I was pregnant with my daughter, and she's 14 years old now, we were living in LA, and I hired a doula to be my support person, one of my support people, um, as I labored and as I birthed my daughter, and as she was born. um, so a doula is an emotional support person, essentially, helping you through pregnancy, helping you through labor, most definitely, and then the very important time of postpartum when you're healing. A doula's role, can be really. This is up to the client and the doula as to what they decide the client needs. That's what they can hire on the doula for. And doulas offer so many different kinds of support. Because I'm a prenatal yoga teacher, um, I I just I wanted to see them. I wanted to continue with them. I wanted to continue through their prenatal practice of yoga and through labor too, because the practice of yoga and the kind of mindfulness and the kind of breath work works so well to prepare you for labor. It's how to be in your body works so well to prepare you for. It was an unfolding, and it was a natural next place I was supposed to be.
It's awesome. It's like I always think of doulas of like now and more now I hear of more Pacific Islander doulas and I always think that it's like the women back in Samoa, the older women that help you through your pregnancy and fulfill and do all that. So I don't know if it's the same, but I connect the two that way as healers and of your mind and of your soul. So I'm
Yeah.
always grateful and I'm always just blessed to hear that there's PI doulas because I in my mind I feel like doulas from the island we're just so connected to the earth and our spirit. So it's awesome to hear that. It was someone here on the chat saying as much as they hate being hot, they love the Bikram yoga and it does wonders for their back. I hear a lot of people heal from yoga just naturally because of the stretching and you're moving your body in ways that you've never moved before. Do you find that to be true with a lot of your customers
Yeah,
or
no,
your
definitely.
clients? Yeah.
I think yoga has the ability to do that on the physical level, on the mental level,
Mhm.
on the emotional level, and that's why I think it's had such a big draw. Um, but most definitely, I teach my dad yoga. This is a 75-year-old man who has bad sciatica, and I'm like, "You're still doing your poses every day?" And he's like, I'm still doing legs up the wall, Nora. Like I'm doing it." And
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, yoga is healing. It's amazing to me that I've been able to find something I've moved into this realm of healer. To me, I'm still like, I have to stand back and think like, what a role. Because you describe the hand to hold and helping to like give strength to women when they're in labor. You know, I'm doing that, and I don't necessarily have the connection of knowing what that was like. I've not been in a birth in Samoa or with Samoan doulas who, like, we don't even call,
Right.
being called doulas. They're just there during the birth, and they're helping the pregnant person deliver and birth that baby. But yeah, like, I'm doing the lomi lomi, I'm doing the fofo, and I'm it's happening. And I've turned into like an herbalist, and I'm offering that kind of healing too. I don't have our tropical, plants and herbs available. Well, I mean, I have ginger, I have turmeric, like I have some things that I work with, but yeah, working with like plants that we have here in yarrow, calendula, like these kinds of herbs. I'm doing the work. I'm doing that kind of work and feeling very of the earth in
Right.
that way. Like, I was born there in the midst of the rainforest and jungle. My grandfather was, had the plantation at the point and in Leone, and I'm following.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It must be so rewarding, and it's hard to explain. I'm getting choked up just listening to you talk about it. Um, it must be so rewarding to just connect with a person at their most, vulnerable state of mind, and to know that you're connecting with them and helping them through, the most important time of their life is just, I could just imagine how amazing that is. So
It is, Naki. You got it.
I'm such a crybaby, but
Yeah, me too.
yeah.
Uh, so looking at your res or your bio, I see dance, inspiration, yoga, doula. It's very body oriented. Was that from did you have that pull as a child, or when did you begin to express yourself in the way that you are with your body? Because what I'm seeing now is you're very much about health, mind, body, spirit, soul. When did you start having that pull?
Yeah. I mean, in Samoa, I was part of junior world golf, junior golf. So my parents definitely, like all four of us, all the kids, that's where we were every day after school. We went to San Diego. Like, my mother played tennis. Um, uh, my dad won because we all played golf. But um, yeah, I mean, like these. I'm Samoan, like,
Right, right.
and I'm Samoan. Like, preface all of that. I'm strong. I'm,
Right.
physically, I'm in this body. This is my house right now. And I've always, I guess, I don't know if I've always, but yeah, I don't know how to explain it. I
Yeah.
guess I've been physical. I guess I've been physical. I've been in movement. I can be coordinated. I can be strong. I can be fast.
Mm.
It's just, I'm Samoan.
It's in our DNA. It's in our DNA. I've also had the pleasure of meeting your mother a few times, and she's just, she's a tiny woman with a powerful, powerful love and strength. And so she was an amazing woman. So I can see that you take after her a lot. So
Thank you for calling her in. Thank you.
oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
We have Dino on, who is cheering you on. Hey, Dino.
What's going on, Dean?
Yeah. So in Samoa and coming here and grew up there, is there did you transition well, or is this, a lot of people come here to first generation from the islands, and it takes them a minute to get, I don't know, not a colonized mind, but to get into the swing of, I'm in America, I can't do this, I can't, go barefoot down the street to the next store, or you know, the education. Did you leave because of the education, or did you just leave on your own, or the family moved here?
Yeah, fortunately for me, I was 9 when we left, when we
Mhm.
moved. And my elder brothers and sisters were in high school. So it was a
Okay.
much more challenging transition for them, you know, to go from Fasao and Marist Brothers High School to what was it? Uh, Foothill High.
Uh,
That's and also we lived in Washington State for 1 year, so we for the first time, and like wearing a jacket and a coat, and
right.
so
What's that, right?
yeah, it was so cold. So I think we definitely had a moment of transition. Like all of us were, you know, it's culture shock,
Yeah.
it's climate environment shock, but I think you know, looking back now, like probably most families going through something as major as that, can look back and think fondly of all of the ridiculous things that happened and laugh, and like, you know, we were in a 2-bedroom house with 4 kids. Like, how did we survive? Yeah, mom and dad commuted to all hell and back to be able to afford the place for us to have, and our job was to do our best in school. Like, everybody's got their job, better do your job and flourish in it. So I was lucky enough to be young when we moved, so the transition was probably a little bit easier for me, but nonetheless, you know, culture shock. I mean, we had been to Hawaii, we had been to, you know, the
Mhm.
States numerous times. So, and growing up in American Samoa, you're not unaccustomed to what it means to be an American, what, you know, the common notions of America are, but definitely had, you know, that moment of re-registering and kind of course correcting yourself about what and we had one another, you know, and we had strong parents. You can you figure out what you need to figure out to do what you're supposed to do, basically.
Has your daughter been to Samoa?
She has. She
Yeah.
actually went with me 2 years before my mother passed. She got to go with me. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. Do you speak fluent? Are you like,
No,
oh, okay,
I'm one of those.
you.
Like, so yeah, I'm one of them there. I'm actually I'm taking like the course on repeat, with Mako or Mato. If
Oh,
you're,
Oh, yes, yes, yes,
yeah,
yes.
with
Will
Will.
Fanene. Yes, he's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna keep enrolling and keep taking those courses until it osmosis absorbs. Um,
Right, right. I know that we're with you, girl. We're with you.
with
We
you,
we're
trying.
all of us today.
yeah,
Yeah, I have Dino's Bible upstairs, all in Samoan, and so like I know that's the way that we learn. Like, read the Bible.
right.
It's in Samoan, and I'm just like, okay, I'm trying.
That's us too. We want to learn the language so bad, and everybody says you have to. The way to learn the language is to read the Bible, right? So that, and I was like, no, I don't even understand what I'm reading. And so now we started a class where we're doing exactly that. We've got the English Bible and the Samoan Bible, and we read it till it connects. So I was like, okay, I get it. You know, slowly, slowly. You know, here I am, late in age, and I'm getting it, and appreciating my culture more, and I'm taking the time to try to learn. And Carl went to Samoa last year for the first time, you know, and so it's been awesome. You know, we're trying to connect, and my kids now are, you know, it's awful, but my husband is fluent in Samoan and I am not. And so in the years that we've been together, he doesn't really speak Samoan, but now that my kids are older, they're wanting to connect, and they're like, how come you didn't teach us how to speak Samoan? I was like, oh, tell him. Tell him. But
Yeah.
so, you know, we're trying. So it's awesome that now we are afforded these classes like Will Fanene, you know, and there's other classes going on. So I'm grateful for that though. So
It's
it's awesome.
There's a lot of Samoans that are here in the
Yeah.
United States that don't speak Samoan.
Yeah.
Uh, it seems like every Samoan that I met, to me, they all spoke fluent Samoan, and then I'll connect with them after years, and they're like, "No, I didn't speak Samoan back then either," and it's just my own insecurity.
Yeah.
Everybody spoke it but me, but there's a lot of us.
Yeah.
Uh, I had a question about barefoot yoga. Um, so was it Leah Gillman um, that was your influence into barefoot yoga? Is that a way to ground yourself, or what is the benefit of being barefoot while you're doing yoga?
Yeah. That's a good question. I take it for granted because I'm just always barefoot, like don't put your shoes in the house. And I do take it for granted that this is just like how I'm most comfortable and supposed to be. But yeah, you definitely, the number of bones and joints within our feet alone, how the body sort of translates through our feet and grounding, I guess, is, yeah, one way to think about it. Being able to kind of articulate what's happening north of your feet through opening up the soles of your feet is important. Shoes are restrictive. Shoes they're not made just for you, right? We're wearing shoes off the rack that maybe don't fit us properly. So the comfort of being barefoot, the comfort of finding like your full foot and its, movability. Yeah, I really take that for granted. I don't even know how to answer the question properly. Leah could. Leah could.
Yeah. If someone wanted
I'm
to
sorry.
get into yoga, are there classes? Where can they go? Where
Yeah.
can we lead them?
Yeah. I mean, right now, right, with COVID going on, most, if not all, of the classes are virtual. That's definitely happening. Um, some people are leading outdoor classes, but it's a Yelp search for one. I'd say support your local studio, like the studios that are in your area, in your town. Do a Yelp search and see what's happening there. Test them out. Um, Taking virtual classes if they have outdoor classes and you feel comfortable with that. Go to the park wherever they're holding those classes. Take the classes with them. I um, there's so many different styles, and depending on what you're kind of thinking of and looking for, it's a bit of research. And of course, I'm saying come to my studio because I'm
Of
there.
course. Yeah.
Again, Carl.
Yeah.
We say the same thing. Go see Leonora.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'll take care of you. I'll make sure.
Awesome. We wanted to highlight you because you're our Pacific Islander um, teacher, educator, healer, yoga instructor, and you're a business owner, and we wanted to show the younger generation and our generation, all generations, what a yoga instructor looks like. The yoga instructor looks like you. So if you have any idea or any, if this could lead a kid, a PI or any kid, to teach and to your school and to find, oh my God, this is my passion. That is the one thing that we are trying to do, is to showcase people that look like us in different, you know, positions like educators and teachers and we're stereotyped as football players and actors, which is amazing, but most 99% of the time we don't make it there. But we make it somewhere else, like what you're doing. And we're so grateful for your time that you've given us. Is there any shout outs you would like to do, or anything that we've missed that we didn't touch on that you would like to get out before we let you go into the world?
Yeah, well, definitely my big brother, Dino, who checked in earlier, for thanking him for encouraging me to contact you and to make this connection happen so that I can speak with you both, and then also get exposed to Poly by Design and what's happening there and all of the work that you're doing, Naki. I shout out you for raising funds for people who especially need it, and using your community connections with other PI people and all of us. And this, you know, what the two of you are doing every Tuesday, every Sunday, like this, and all throughout the week. This is what, yeah. So you, yeah.
Big shout out to for Dean for the introduction.
Yeah.
But you know, it's so important for anybody, and Naki really made a good point about that it's not just the kids. I mean, that's why we started it, was we wanted to be on the phones for the kids, because the kids are on their phones. That's where they're getting their information from. That's where they're getting their news from. But it's not just for kids. It's for anybody, PI or not. You're out there pursuing your passion. You love yoga. You're a yoga instructor. I was involved with mixed martial arts, and I remember watching Brazilian jiu-jitsu instructors that you could just see it, that they would teach classes for free. Like they loved going to work. And then that it's okay to, you know, pursue your passion. And there's people out there that are, you know, Naki and I always tell the story of the electrician, a Samoan lady that's an electrician. And there's, you know, there may be some girl out there that's going, I don't know if we're electricians. Are we electricians? And there may be people out there now that look at you and go, wow, a yoga instructor. Or just pursue the passion of what you're doing. I mean, things line up in your life so much better when you're not fighting your calling, when you're saying, that's what I want to do, and I'm going to do a lot of it, versus, I mean, I couldn't imagine getting up every day. And I see, you know, I hear people, I get up and I hate my job. And I'm like, how do you, like, that's such a tough life to get up and hate what you do every day. And you don't have to. You can figure out what you want to do and do what, you know, you love yoga. You're teaching yoga. You're a doula. You're helping your community. It's having people like you makes our job a lot easier.
It does. We're so grateful for you, and I love your spirit. You got me crying, girl. I felt it, and you are a true healer and a true. You're just a true role model. Even if you don't think you are, there's someone that's watching this now that you're probably saving their spirit. So thank you so much for your time, Leonora. We're so proud of you. God bless your journey. And thank you for coming to Faika with us.
Real quick, people find you on social media, or are you, how, if they want to take your yoga classes or doula, how do they get a hold of you?
So you can go to barefootmovement.com. That's the studio website. That's the yoga studio website. And find me there on the schedule and all the classes that are offered. I also have a website for my doula business. It's leonorawillis.life. You can find me there. If you're looking for a doula or, you know, private yoga instruction, that's another source for me. I mean, I'm on social media too. I've got Leonora Ilovea. That's one of my handles for like family and friends. And then there's Leonora Willis Yoga. You can find me there too. Yeah, I'm there. Look for Leonora Willis.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Post all the information. So if you're watching, you didn't write it all down, we will get that information out on our social media. Leonora Willis, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your evening, and thank you for being you.
Thank you.